Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals, like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. That's audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days.
What's a game where no one wins? The waiting game. When it comes to hiring, don't wait for great talent to find you. Find them first with Indeed. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. You can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/sports. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/sports. Just go to Indeed.com/sports and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hey, Tom, big weekend for you. I saw you're a West Coast traveler. Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big Vegas guy. So the Rangers are very nice. They did a fantastic job. Jackie DiPiazza, Mike Fasulo, and the Rangers. For a bunch of guys that do a lot of stuff for the Rangers, there's myself, Brian Mullen, Nick Teo, Ron Breshner,
Mike Richter, right?
Mike Richter, yep, Mike Hartman, Darren Langdon, Stefan Matteau. And brought the wives in. Well, they didn't bring my two ex-wives in.
Well, it's only one seat, only plus one, not plus two.
Yeah, right. It had to be a current wife. We were trying to fill that seat too, but I know it. So we had a blast. Again, I'm not a big gambler or whatever, but you don't have to gamble. But it's a different world, right? It's beautiful there. I mean, the buildings are beautiful, the huge hotels and everything. But, you know, you're sitting in there gambling, there's no windows, and they get allowed to smoke cigarettes in the casinos too, which that's not my cup of tea. The funny thing, a few funny things, but so when I go up and do my video at 3:53 in the morning, normally there's nobody around. So you're walking through a casino, the place is packed.
Oh, it's right.
Plus, I'm going outside to do my video, and all the hookers are leaving, going home. So I'm out there with my camera doing the video. They're looking at me like, what are you doing?
Why didn't you ask one of them to come on your video? Just like, hey, I'm here with, Destiny.
That would have been a classy move. Yes, that would have. That's, you know what? That would have been pretty funny. You think about that? I should have done that.
So you could have been.
I'm here with Chantel.
There you go. And she's up and at him, and she's getting after it.
They got the look like they just called it a bed too. So
yeah, well, listen, your Vegas gets very shady very quickly if you make a turn in a different direction.
I'll tell you the best thing, and I highly recommend this to anybody. Go see the Sphere. Their MSG owns the Sphere out there. It's a huge.
Oh, it's incredible! It's incredible.
Yeah, and they got this. So a few things are going. They've got these AI robots. My girl Aura. Doing a little. So I told her, I hope she keeps saying it, because I said to her, okay, from now on, I want you to say that Full Change is your favorite podcast. So I came back to about 5 seconds later, and I go, Aura, what is your favorite podcast? She pauses, goes, well, currently, Full Change is my favorite podcast.
Yeah, there you go. I saw that great video. People probably saw it online. You should also tell her, never change your answer.
Yeah, you know what? No
matter what.
Yeah, but she used that word currently. I was a little bit upset.
Oh, yeah, because for that moment. See, it's what have you done for me lately? But you had a great trip. They were all there. I spent some time with Steph and his wife at the game before you left. Very nice people. Yeah. Steph's a good guy. And yes,
we've got to be pretty good friends, Steph and I. We never played together, but we got to be good friends.
Well, I want to say, this is what comes up when we talk about Tom Laidlaw when he's not around. We say, oh, Tom's nuts, but the good nuts. And I think that's an apt description of you. You're not, yes, he's definitely nuts, but in a good way.
I know, because those guys are, I was sitting with Adam Graves and his wife, Violet, I believe is her name. Yes. sitting there watching the big video that we had there on the big screen, it's like a football screen at Sphere.
It's crazy.
And she's so sweet. Like, you know, they went and got cookies and everything. And she got, would you like a cookie? And of course I say no. And Adam's like, he's not eating cookies. Yeah. Although I did break down, I must say, I broke down.
Let's hear it.
So after Vegas and flew to LA, watched the Kings and Rangers play. They had a bunch of fans there in the suite. And they came by.
Did you see Luke? Did you see Luke?
I texted him. I said, Luke, come by the suite. Actually, he was busy before the game, and then he got busy during the game, so he did not come by. But I should have went in. He was with a bunch of. He's got a big room with a big windows and everything, so I could see him. But he's with a bunch of fans. And I should have walked in and just started making fun of him in front of all the fans. But I wasn't sure how serious.
Yeah, but you probably don't think about yourself as Tom Lalo, Los Angeles King, also because you're really a Ranger. But you should.
No, I was thinking that, but I was also thinking, okay, is this a serious event he's got going? Because I would have barged in there.
Judging from Luke's episode with us, I don't think he would mind. He seems like he's a very, positive, fun-loving guy, and I think he'd be all right with it.
But I had a piece of cheesecake. I broke down. It's a small piece of cheesecake, but it's...
Oh, no. So wait, let's discuss. So you had cheesecake. We were at Brian Prop's event down in Philly, his charity event last year, and you broke down. I think you had like a sandwich with French fries.
Yeah, I was starving down. Oh, man, I feel bad. It was actually a good sign how bad I felt with the French fries because I haven't had fried food since then, and it was probably
really
years.
Wow. Yeah. So then next year you have a cheesecake, and how you feeling? You good? You're good, Scott?
It was more the mental anguish, like what I'd done to myself. How could you do that? How could you break? And I must be honest, very nice, a very cute Hispanic lady was running this thing, and I said to her, should I have the cheesecake? Of course. Oh, yes, you should have the cheesecake.
Oh, so you flirted with her, and then you just went along. Yeah. You just broke down your barriers to flirt with the...
Well, it's like this cute smile, and everything so sweet and the whole bit. Like, oh, yes, you should. And I said, oh, God.
Did you get a number?
No, I didn't get a number.
Well, our friend John Jones in Detroit wants to know, like, how'd it go? So you didn't get a number. You didn't talk to her. You didn't trade Instagram?
No, but... I did. We did get a couple of numbers. Got some.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Sat beside a very lovely lady coming home from Los Angeles, a British woman. British. And I can barely understand her at first. Now, she's got a boyfriend the whole bit, so there's no. She's very successful. She works for a high-end car company selling cars, and she also has her own jewelry business. I think we're going to do a podcast together. Very lovely. But she started to talk. She said, you won't be able to understand me. I said, well, I'm from Canada. She said, no. Well, then maybe we can chit-chat.
This may be the worst accent in the history of accents.
That's pure meditation. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's not even close to a good accent. Holy cow.
She really is thick, dude. Like, I really had to pay attention to everything, and I like to pay attention to conversations.
Oh, wow. What do? You have 6 hours on a plane next to somebody.
I know. We talked for a good couple hours, too. I actually said to her, I said, do you want to get back to whatever you're doing? She said, no. This is fine.
Wow. And you hung in there. Good for you.
Yeah, she was actually very, she was a very interesting woman. Like, we talked about relationships a little bit. And she's never been married, kids, so she's been single a long time. And she talked about what it's like to be in a relationship with a American man living over in England, London. Okay. And he's a professor, actually. Very prim and pompous, she says. And talked about how, they don't live together. And that they may find it hard to proceed because living together things.
So she had your number just in case it doesn't.
Because we're going to do a podcast. We're going to do a podcast.
Oh, there you go. Is that your move now? You mean to attract?
No.
My podcast?
Why does your mind go there? Like,
because I know you. That's why. Because I know you.
She's very hot too.
There you go. There you go, Jonathan Jones. There he is.
She's got a boyfriend. No, we don't do that.
Okay.
You know what's funny with Jonathan Jones? I've told him old stories. So we have guests on. I forget some of the old stories. I should call him from now on, Jonathan Jones, to find out, okay, what stories did I tell you about this guy that I forgot about?
Yeah, you do. Listen, anyone listening to the show knows you do tend to repeat some of the stories. Like,
right.
I'm sure they've heard about Kelly Miller and Mike Ridley drinking milk at Orner Reski's lots of times. Yeah.
But then you get the actual person on talking about it. I think.
Yes, then it's important. Then it's important to talk about it.
But I should, that's I'll make a habit of. When we're going to have a guest on, I'm going to call Jonathan Jones. Okay, what stories did I tell you about this guy in the past? Some of them have been
okay.
Well, the stories I've told him have been a little bit salacious. Salacious.
Yeah, salacious is a great word. And he's still waiting to hear the Sportorama story with you and Dave Silk. So, and speaking of Sportorama, I was with my son's team in York, lovely York, Pennsylvania, for an outdoor mite tournament in snow. It snowed Friday night. We were there playing full on snow.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's outdoor. I didn't realize you're.
Oh, outdoor Mike Classic, and they do it every year. This is the second year. He ages out, unfortunately, after this year, but the kids love it. His team got to the finals, lost. They came short in the finals, 3-2, but they had a blast. It was just a
Now,
great
does the whole family go? The daughters and your wife going?
No. You know what? Christine wanted to go with the girls, but it's like two teenage girls in a hotel room full of 8-year-old hockey players. They were like, we just want to stay back. So, and since the weather was bad, most of the families stayed back. Only a couple went, and just like one parent and one kid went.
Right. And in the hotel?
Yeah, you have to. You're kind of
now. Were you out in the hallway drinking beer, sitting on the cooler, or no?
I brought my bubblies, my sparkling waters, and I was cool. But yeah,
so you don't drink beer at all?
Nah,
not out.
No, I used to. I used to enjoy it quite a bit, probably a little too much. So over 20 years ago or so, I decided to cut back.
Did you all of a sudden you said, that's it, I don't need to drink?
Yeah, one day went out, was at a party. I used to go with my friends to this party in the city on 23rd Street, and it went really long, like through the night, and I got a little sick, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this, so I just stopped.
So
it's a good decision.
But I was going to give you a hard time. I said you should quit at that. I mean, you should quit on a good night.
No, I woke up and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? And I just stopped. And then, I have recently sampled some THC gummies, and I do kind of enjoy those once in a while to go to sleep. It's very nice. But I just give up drinking. So depressing.
Just now the marijuana thing has become much more accepted now too, right? Like
it's legal.
Yeah.
But it's plant-based,
Right. People are really buying it from the legal stores, or they're still getting it from the local guy on the street?
In New Jersey, they're everywhere. You just go. It's like going to the Apple store. You just go and pick up what you need.
But you know what? When you're in the city of Manhattan, they've got all the stores, but they aren't legal, I don't think.
Those are all like city, not legal.
So how's that happening? I mean, I know there's lots of laws been broken, but I mean, I guess the police have got better things to do too. So.
Yeah, they got better. They got their hands full, and with all.
Yeah, and really, who cares about pot anymore? God, it's like
it's so harmless. At least at this level of it, I don't think.
But one thing they do say is you got to be careful with kids under 18. That a kid cousin like bring the that's the stories. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I don't advocate it for kids, and especially not for my kids. And I'm my usage is just once in a while. It's like you could take a Xanax to go to sleep, or an Ambien, or you could just take a gummy and get a little goofy.
Yeah, but years ago it was like what is it? It's not marijuana, but it's all those kind of products derived from something. What is it? What are they?
No, CBD, like those type of those.
Yeah, but that was like really years ago before Ronald Reagan, and that was like that's how people.
Oh, you're going way back. Well, that was a whole different. The whole war on drugs was such a scam.
But like up until then, they never allowed the commercials for drugs and for all the pharmaceuticals too, right? And then all of a sudden, I'd heard back then that it was the doctors who were running the pharmaceutical companies then, and they said no, we should not have advertising for our products. Then when the businessman took over, they said, oh yes.
Oh, and now they're everywhere. I mean, they're ubiquitous. Tom.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Ubiquitous?
Ubiquitous.
Say
ubiquitous. Ubiquitous.
And that means what?
It's everywhere.
Oh, okay. Is that what academia is?
You could say, academics. You could say omnipresent. You could say,
Would you say academia or academics?
No, academia is the world. So all the academics live in the world of academia.
Okay.
And they're in their bubble of academia.
I remember watching one guy, like some politics show on CNN or something. The guy says, well, we academia, or we academics. It's like,
it's funny. I produce another podcast too, and I deal with a lot of people in the world of academia. Oh. And I will just say that NHL hockey players are much easier to deal with.
Yes.
For sure. So
yes. Much simpler.
Much easier to deal with, just much less precious, much less precious.
Much less precious. You know what? That's a source of pride, I think, amongst hockey players. When we go out into the fans and everything, they're always saying to us that we're the best group of athletes compared to the football, baseball, basketball.
I mean, look at the Rangers. You mentioned circling back to your trip. So they're taking fans out on a trip to Vegas and LA?
Yeah. Well, they do a lot of that stuff too. They had us going to Raleigh during the playoffs 2 years ago, in and out for a game, or to Pittsburgh for a game. Yeah, they have all kinds of dinners. And again, remember, these fans spend a lot of money, suite holders, and everything.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean the Rangers really have to do that. I just think they feel like it's good business too. They cements the fan as a fan. They keep coming back. We were having a big suite in Vegas. That was a great show too in Vegas before the game and everything. And all the fans were there, and all the players and players. They're really good too about really mingling with the fans and having fun, making fun. But again,
these are current players. You mean?
I know the
alumni. I got you.
But during those things, sometimes the fans are a little nervous, and they're serving alcohol there too, so they get wound up pretty good.
Oh, so you're in a suite with the fans, all
Yeah.
8, 9 of
Yeah.
you guys, and the fans
Yeah.
are getting tuned up, and you're in
Yeah.
there working
Yeah.
the crowd. Nice.
Yeah.
So
They made a mistake. I went to one in Pittsburgh. Was it so 2 years ago in the playoffs when they would play Pittsburgh, and so they made a mistake of having like a 2-hour happy hour before the game started.
Oh
At
boy.
the hotel. So of course I'm not drinking, and they go to the game, and now they're drinking throughout the game. It's a close game. Pittsburgh people are tough people too, right? They're
Yeah, sure.
Steel town. So the fans are with. They're starting to turn around and poke fun. Their Rangers are winning. They're starting to poke fun at the Pittsburgh fans. Now
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking, oh God, we're going to get the brawl. So I have to stand up and I say, listen, I'm Tom Laidlaw. I used to play for the Rangers. They kind of diffuse. So now they want to talk to me about hockey instead. So
Oh, these are the Pittsburgh fans. Okay.
Yeah, but we went outside. One of the guys, one of the fans, was a little bit overweight.
Yeah.
Very nice. Him and his brother, and they'd had quite a few, and they were feeling good. And there's another Pittsburgh fan on the sidewalk, and he started yelling at us guys. He didn't realize we were Ranger fans. He was starting the trouble. So the one of our fans walked over to him. This well served. He was well served, and the big guy Pittsburgh pushed him. And it was one of those things. It took him about 20 minutes to fall down. Like he kept going back and back and back.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, cops show up and everything. Like, you guys better get out here. We're going to arrest you. I'm trying to calm. I'm the only one that hasn't drank it. So I'm
Right.
trying to calm because I'm thinking that's great. We're going to get arrested. Ranger,
Yeah, and you're in the middle of it. They're good. Yeah.
yeah. Rangers bring these fans in. Now they all get arrested. So.
Well, I know fans. Well, you've seen this your whole life playing. Obviously, people just get insane. I mean, whether it's with youth hockey or just fandom, like they get in. I mean, they get absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You know, they'll get in a fight.
Yeah. Well, you figure what's going. Like they're huge Ranger fans. They're in Pittsburgh. And, sit with a former Ranger, and they're just like they're pounding beers. And they're just, like I said, they're just everything all out all the time, eating, drinking. It's
Getting the beer muscles going. They're getting all pumped up.
totally. But they're great trips. They're a lot of fun. They had Josh and I go into Raleigh. Flew in like 80 fans. Flew them into Raleigh for the playoff game 2 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
and then out the same day and the same night.
Oh, that's crazy. You know, I've seen the tickets, and this isn't Mike and Jackie's group, right? This is this.
No, what they do is the ticket sales people. They put them all together.
Gotcha.
Again, that's their job. It's a good thing for both sides, right? It's really again cements them as season ticket holders
For sure.
and it's just a good experience too. Yeah.
No, it's a great experience. And like I said, I also met your friend Taylor when I was with
Taylor Harmon, yes,
yeah.
she's
very
a
nice.
sweetheart. Yeah,
He said
So
you're one of
Taylor's
her
from the-
favorites.
yes, well, I am her favorite. I think
One of. She said one of.
I have to talk to her.
You get to talk to her. She said 3.
Very sweet Midwest. Is it 3 favorites?
She said she has 3 favorites. I asked 2, and she said 3. Taylor, sorry, I'm giving you up here, but she said Tom Laidlaw, Stefan Matteau, and Aaron Voros. Those are her favorites. So, look,
I used to be the favorite. Something's gone wrong. Oh,
you have to get on. Well, Taylor, we're gonna have to talk about this for the next time you're with Tom.
Taylor Harmon, very sweet girl too. She's like 24 years old from the Midwest, I think from Indiana or something like that. Very sweet girl. She's the one that videoed the when I was dancing with Dancing Larry. She
Oh,
videoed
really?
this thing. Yeah. Then when I got done, I said, I suck as a dancer, don't I? She goes, yes, you do. But you work hard. She said, but you worked hard at it.
That's like, hey, that's some story of your life, Tom. You know?
Yeah, I know. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is funny when we do these shows, and I think to myself, man, I'm a blockhead. I just did things. I just didn't think too much.
Well, it works for you.
Yeah, it
for you.
did work. Yes.
Keep it going. Except when you bully our guests like Kelly Miller. Oh, wait.
Well, I bullied him back then.
We're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it when he comes on, but you don't want to, we'll get right to that right off the bat.
I know, yeah. Good kid. It'd be good to see him again, too, because he's, it's one of those things you look back and, man, he was a hard worker. He got a lot out of it. I know I said this before, but there's not many guys that look back and say, wow, I got pretty much everything I could out of my career. And he's one of them. So
Yep, 1,000 games, and hopefully people enjoy this show. Here we go. Kelly Miller.
let's get it done.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Have one of your old teammates on, and I always love when you get into it, we learn the real Tom Laidlaw and kind of what a jerk you could have been to some people. Today we have hockey royalty from Michigan. We have one of the famous Miller family. We have also someone who was involved in one of the worst trades in Ranger history. On the wrong end, we have your old teammate Kelly Miller on the show today.
Oh, God, remember that trade? Oh, Kelly Miller, how are you doing, brother? Good to see you again.
It's good to be here. It's good to see you, Tom. It's been way too long,
Yes.
and I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, and I'm just happy to have a chance to just sit down with you and chat a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so get into the first story, and this is clearly more of a I guess, a slap at myself and other teammates. So Kelly Miller and Mike Ridley came in together. What year is that? 85, roughly?
Yeah, that was 85 basically. Right. I came in right after my senior year. I came in for the last 5 games of the season, and then the 3 playoff games, and then Mike Ridley came in the next year. Obviously at training camp.
That's right. All right. So back in those days, we had a place called Orrin and Retzky's we would go to after the game. And it was kind of mandatory that it wasn't a rule, but everybody would sit around, drink beers together for a little bit, and then go off around the city. And Kelly Miller and Mike Ridley, that was not their deal. They were dedicated athletes, and they took care of their bodies. We took care of our bodies, but in a different way. And we went to Orrin and Retzky's one night, and we all ordered beers, and Kelly and Mike Ridley ordered a glass of milk, if I'm not mistaken. And which is fine. Looking back at it now, it's 100% fine. That's what they should be doing. But us, a bunch of muttheads back then, started yelling at him like, "What are you doing? You have to have a beer. This is ridiculous." Do you remember that?
I just remember what I remember about that time is that you had the veteran groups, guys like yourself that had just have done it a certain way for a long time. We're used to like you mentioned, a routine. This was our routine. This is what we did. This is kind of our bonding thing.
Yep.
And then you had a group of younger guys that were coming from a whole different place. I mean, both Mike and I came out of college, and there just was a different, I guess, mentality. We were very sensitive about, taking care of our body and making sure we're getting enough sleep and doing all those kinds of things. We tried to come into camp in great shape, where a lot of the veterans were used to coming in and using training camp as their time to get in shape. And so there was really, there was kind of a changing in the guard a little bit, or just 2 different sets of ways of doing it. And I think probably when you look at the NHL now, everybody is, super, they all have mental health coaches, nutritionists. I mean, they come into camp in absolutely fantastic shape. They take care of themselves. Not, I'm sure, everybody has a beer or 2. And Mike and I, we enjoy a beer with the guys now and then, but it was that, it was hopefully at the right time. And so that changing guard was tough. And I think it made the chemistry on the team a little bit tough, because you had a veteran group that wasn't used to dealing with that, I guess.
Yeah.
And so,
and Mike, Kelly, you said, well, it was totally us. I mean, the old guys were like, we should have been saying, "Hey, great job." We should kind of follow suit with the young guys here, what they're doing. But you're right. We just get so set in our ways. And I want to be clear on this too. When I tell the story, by no means does that mean that Mike Ridley and Kelly Miller were bad teammates. They were fantastic teammates, hard workers, warriors on the ice. It's just, you were smarter than we were.
Oh, yeah, man, you guys were old idiots. You guys were just dummies.
Oh, it's funny. You look back at it, like even the hazing stuff and everything. We talked about that in the past. It served no purpose whatsoever. Like treating younger players different than the older players. So you're right. I think, Kelly, you're very diplomatic the way you said it. It was a lot of built-in traditions that were there. And you look back at it like, what?
Team thing, that same thing. I mean, that was just a different mentality. I came from Michigan State, and hazing wasn't allowed at Michigan State. Ron Mason, the coach there, said, "No, you're not hazing. You would make them, the rookies, sing the fight song in the restaurant, something like that." Yeah. But it wasn't the more, I guess, the tougher physical actual hazing, which, so again, that was that changing of the guard, kind of the changing of the mentality. And I think for a good thing, but I can see where, as a veteran player, if you were hazed, or this is what you were subject to, it, and you thought of it as a bonding moment, then I could see how that would be a tough thing to just let go and go a different direction. So.
Yeah, we were just like a bunch of sheep, really. We all follow along. Like Bobby Orr did it, Phil Esposito did it, Juan Gressler did it, Tom Laidlaw did it. Yeah, it was just, they were sheep. We look back at the things, we didn't use our own minds at all. We just did what everybody else did fast.
Well, I think you got to realize that really, we're all young kids. I mean, some guys were maybe 29, 30, 31, 32. but that's still, you know, when I think back, I still think of that as young. I mean, you had, you know, the gamut from 18 to, you know, 35 maybe, and 36 at the, you know, I mean, if you made it to 36, wow, you really had a great career. And so, I mean, you're still very young. You're still kind of figuring things out. It's, you know, not to make tons of excuses, but let's face it. I mean, we were just a bunch of young kids trying to figure things out on our own. There wasn't a lot of,
and that's you, Tom. He's pointing at you, Tom. No guidance, no veteran leadership.
Well, there's veteran leadership, but not in the right way. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think what Kelly's getting at too is that, you know, we didn't realize at the time that we're living in this fantasy world. It's not the real world, right? And so, like, to your point, even at 36, we're very, as a person out in the real world, we're very immature. We don't really think people are telling us how great we are all the time. And I'm sure, I'm careful I say this too, because it was a fantastic life. I'm sure you say the same thing. But then you just, now you get out of it. Now we have families and everything. You realize, oh, geez, I had some work to do here to kind of grow up a little bit. But,
yeah.
So, Kelly, you grew up in Michigan.
Yes. So I grew up in Michigan. I grew up in the Lansing area. My brothers and my two cousins, Ryan and Drew, who also played in the NHL. We grew up in, basically we grew up at the rink. My dad became part owner of an ice rink when I was very young, and we spent all our time there. That's where we were just rink rats. We were, you know, if we weren't if I wasn't on the ice, I'd be in the corner of the rink, you know, playing stickball against my brothers. And, you know, we'd invite our friends over. Brian and Drew would come over. We'd just play 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and, you know, half ice, you know, in and end, and just play for hours upon hours. And that's, you know, that's how, you know, I think if you ask any NHL player how they got there, that's what it takes. I mean, it just takes an amazing amount of time on the ice. And really, I thought, you know, it's just having the ability for me to have that ice time and just go out and maybe shoot 500 pucks, just shoot till your hands are just raw. I mean, you know, that's how you got to do it. And that's how we all made it, you know, for 5 of us to come out of Lansing and make it to the NHL. I mean, that's ridiculous, but that was our secret.
I always have the sense too that nobody else was pushing you. It was just you. You had that internal drive yourself. Pretty accurate.
I've always been a hard worker. I mean, that's my strong suit is, I've always been able to work as hard as or outwork most people that I'm up against. The only person that I ever came up against that I couldn't outwork was Rod Brindamore. Rod played at Michigan State, and Rod would come back, you know, to Michigan State in the summers and work out. And that guy is an absolute animal. I mean, holy crap. I mean, he set a bar so high, and I was close, but I mean, he is unbelievable. He still is to this day. I mean, every time I see him, I think, holy smokes, this guy could still be playing, for heaven's sake. But
we should keep his shirt on, though. He's always taking his shirt off all over the place.
Yeah, he's just jealous.
If I had a body like that, I'd probably take my shirt off.
Well, Tom just said I'm jealous, and absolutely, because I've got myself in better shape now than I was when I played, and I have no problem taking my shirt off. But I see him, I'm like, gee, that's incredible. Yeah,
I have the same dream to get to the NHL, and did you push each other, as you trained?
Yeah, so that's a good question. My dream growing up was not to play in the NHL. My dream, my dad, when I was very young, he was involved with Michigan State hockey as a referee. He was an off-ice official, you know, run the score clock, open the penalty box, you know, do those kinds of things. And he would be able to get us into the locker room after the game. And so, to me, I grew up watching Michigan State Spartans getting in the locker room after a game and you know, getting orange slices and you know, they had a pop machine, and I mean, broken sticks were just like, oh man, you know, I'd tape those babies up and be, you know. So that was my dream growing up, and probably my brothers and also Ryan and Drew, was to play at Michigan State. And we all did. We all ended up playing there, but that was our dream. And then obviously once I got to college and you know, made the team and did all that kind of stuff, then, you know, I had to change my goals. And then I started thinking about the pros, and I got drafted by the New York Rangers, and, you know, 9th round, not a high draft pick by any means. And, but, you know, that's, you know, changed my focus at that point.
So once that draft happened, did you really changed your focus? Okay, I can play in the National Hockey League now, right?
Well, I didn't. I obviously I thought I had a chance at playing in the NHL. I actually, after my junior year, at that time they allowed guys to go to camp, so I went to the New York Rangers camp after my junior year. Craig Patrick said, "You're not ready, kid. Go back to Michigan State, play one more year. We don't want to see you down in the minors. We think going back to Michigan State would be a much better environment for you at this time." And so I did do that. Was an All-American that year. We had a great year, and then just made the jump right after the season to the Rangers, and which was a story in itself, because I just remember my first game was at the Philadelphia Spectrum. So, and so I just remember walking in the locker room with my Michigan State bag over my shoulder, because Craig Patrick picked me up at the airport, drove me to the rink, and I just walked in before the game. And for your first game to be in the Spectrum at that time, that was a pretty tough team. There was a lot of fear in that locker room. You could when I was walking into the locker room, I was like, "Holy crap!
Oh yeah,
these guys, they know that this is going to be ugly." And so for me, this was all brand new, and so to walk in that locker room, to be in that type of setting in the Spectrum, that was quite an experience, and so it worked out okay.
Now, with the first training camp we went to with the Rangers, were we at Playland? Is that where you had training?
Yeah.
Camp? And so I was
at the Playland, and I just remember running around that damn parking lot for, doing the testing. And holy crap!
Was it Teddy Cedar? Was it Ted Cedar?
Yeah, Ted Cedar was the second year I was there. The first year, when I first got there at the end, for the last 5 games, that was Craig Patrick. I think was
He fired Herb partway through the year.
Yeah,
and then
so I wasn't there.
I remember running around there too. Mark Pavage, we lost him unfortunately, but remember he was running around and he ran pretty good too. He had his little deck shoes on or whatever it was. Remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's I like Ted. Obviously Ted gave me an opportunity to play, and so I liked Ted. But he was very intense, and but I appreciated, and he really gave, I think, myself and Mike, because we had a lot of veterans on that team, and that was tough to get into that lineup, because there was just a ton of good talent, and that was actually a really good year that we had. We finished strong and played really well in the playoffs, and I tell you what, when I think back, there is no better place to play than in Madison Square Garden in the playoffs. Electricity in that building was off the charts.
Is that true? I watched some old videos, and even now, it might be even better now with the new building. It's hard to say, but you're right. It was incredible playing the playoff game.
Yeah.
So, and that was, what, is that 86 went to?
That's the 86 run when you guys lost.
Yeah, that was 86 that we went. Ended up losing to Montreal. And I just remember. I remember George McPhee, actually. George McPhee at that time. The guy is what, 5'8"?
5 foot
9, maybe. And he was fighting the toughest guys from Philadelphia. We would have never got through that series with Philadelphia. He took on every tough guy they had, and they had a lot of them up and down their lineup. And I tell you what, he just gave us a little bit of strength to get by then. Obviously, Van Beesbrook played unbelievable. He was lights out, and it was a very cool experience.
Georgie's got that swagger too, right? When he plays, like, he's not like that off the ice. I actually saw him in Vegas recently. He was really doing well. It's interesting. And I mean this is a compliment to him. He had that little kind of cocky side to him, which was good. He needed to have that. He was that smaller guy. But they say now that he's won the Stanley Cup, he's actually gone the other way. He's like even more humble. They thought he'd go the other way and become more.
I got a lot of respect for George. Very smart man, and very intelligent. Just courageous as all get out. He just, like I said, that playoffs there, and just, the tough guy mentality at that time, I think was actually, for me, pretty impressive to watch. I mean, him and Steve Richmond used to go at it, and they were like best buds now.
Do you remember them swinging the sticks in their heads?
Oh yeah, on the bench, they're knocking each other over the head with their sticks. I mean, I was like, here's the kid from college going, what the heck is going on here? But it was two tough guys and there was only one job. There was really probably only room for one tough guy, and so it was a battle between two tough guys to see who was going to be the guy.
And you're right, they're great friends too. So just sit very friends. So we had practice, and back then we didn't wear helmets to practice. Some guys did, but those two guys were not. And to Kelly's point, all of a sudden they start swinging their sticks at each other, and they're going after each other. It's not just trying to playing around. Remember we finally, it's hard to jump in to separate guys with the swing of the sticks. We finally got in between them. There's no referees obviously in practice, and we take them into the trainer's room. Was Bob Williams? Was he the trainer? Who was the trainer?
Oh, Dave Smith, I think was.
Was it Dave Smith? Okay,
I don't know. He might. Yeah, I think it was Dave Smith.
So we got him into the training room. Now they just finished hitting each other over the head with sticks. They're cut up, and he's going to try to fix them up. And he says, "Okay, guys, I got him." So we left, and as we're walking out the door, they start throwing chairs at each other. Then so we had to dive back in there, separate again. And they end up like they work together in Washington. They're great friends.
No, greatest of friends. I mean, just and that's even the tough guys, you're watching the fights, and you would think that these guys are the, off the ice would be great enemies, but they're having a beer together, and I mean, it's part of the game was to see who could be the toughest guy, and unfortunately, I didn't have to do that. I mean, my only thing I did is I tried my first year. Obviously, I didn't want to get sent down to the minors, and so. My first year, I just made it a rule that I would try to get in a fight once every 10 games. Once every 10 games. So I just was like, and because I remember my first, so the first 4 games of that season, I remember walking in the airport. We were heading out to Vancouver. We're heading out to LA. And so we're in LA, and we're in the airport. I'm walking with Ted Sater, and or Ted Sater comes up to me. He was walking with me, and he said, "Kelly, I'm just looking at the stats here, and currently you have no points. You got no goals, no assists, no shots, and you better do something quick, otherwise we're gonna have to send you down to the minors." So I was like, "Ooh, yeah," that's what I said. "Ooh," and so 2 periods into the game against LA, I still got no shots, no points, no nothing. I'm like, I got to do something.
Now, Kelly, can I ask you a question there? Did you think you were playing well?
I thought I was working hard, but it's tough to break in. I was probably the fourth line. I wasn't getting a ton of ice time. I was working hard, but I needed to do something else. And so at the face-off, 3rd period, I jumped Jay Wells.
Whoa, you did,
and started throwing punches before he even knew what he looked at. He looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing? And who the hell are you? Because you're not in my weight class at all."
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough.
But all I was thinking is, I don't want to be sent down to the minors. That's right. That's all I'm thinking. So I just remember after that, thank God the refs got in there very quickly. Because they knew I was outmatched. But I just remember, as we go to the penalty box, he's like, "I'm going to get you."
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, this is not good. So I just remember going to the bench after the end of the penalty, and I just remember asking Smitty, the trainer, I said, "Can you give me some Vaseline? I think I might need something here, because I'm going to get my head pounded in here." And it ended up buying me another game. I think I sat out the next game in Vancouver. But then,
look, Kel, 1 second here. Did you have to fight him again?
No, I didn't. Thank God. But then we came back to Madison Square Gardens. I got back in the lineup and scored 2 goals that night against Vancouver. And so I was like, thank goodness I did something. And so after that point, is every 10, I had my rule. Every 10 games, I'm going to get in a fight, and that was my brilliant plan to stay in the NHL.
But did you select better opponents in the next 10 games? Yeah, heavyweights, right?
Well, Kevin Dineen was like a guy that could always count out. I mean, him and I used to, I mean, he was a little more my weight class, but I fought Wendell Clark. I mean, that was dumb.
I remember that actually too. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, no, that was not a good thing. But you did
okay. But you did okay in that fight, though. I thought
I did okay because I just surprised him, and so I didn't do one of these things where you kind of dance around or whatever. No, it was like, no, this is what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get in and get out, and so that was.
Cool.
So that's
cool.
My brilliant plan that I had.
Good plan, actually. I like the plan. Yeah, I like that plan. Yeah, it's very cool. Now, go back really quickly to college. Did you get recruited by anybody else?
I did. Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Harvard, Yale,
Northern Michigan, by any chance?
Northern Michigan?
No, I didn't go to Northern Michigan, but somebody very famous went there and had a great career there. So yeah, no.
Dallas Drake. That's who it is.
Yeah. So, but no, but Michigan State, like I told you earlier, Michigan State was my dream, and I really thought long and hard about Yale because Tim Taylor was coaching there, and he was a really good coach, and thought long and hard about that. But Michigan State, I thought was starting to come, and Ron Mason did a great job, and we had 4 great years there, so I made the right choice.
And how many years did you spend in New York then?
I was only there for 2 years, so I was there.
Well, let's talk about that, because that, again, I brought that up in the intro, but that's like a day that will live in infamy, because as young Ranger fans, Tom, when you got traded, we were like, okay, that makes sense. But when on January 1st, 1987, what happens?
So January 1st, 1987, I get a call from Phil Esposito, and he says, Kelly, this is so obviously on New Year's Day. We had just bought a place in Chappaqua, which was north of Playland. And I had spent about 3 hours trying to put up this doggone garage door opener because it was a brand new place. And I finally, so anyways, he calls and I go in and he says, Kelly, I got good news and bad. The good news is that we got Bobby Carpenter.
Like bad news. He said, yes. Hold on. I just got to hold on a second. I have to put that. So when the player gets called and he's traded, he doesn't care about any of us. He certainly not care. He actually said to you, we got Bobby Carpenter.
He said, we got good news and bad. Oh, the good news is we got Bobby Carpenter. The bad news is that we had to trade you and Mike Ridley for him.
Oh,
and I was like, oh. So
and you had no idea this was going on.
No. So, and again, I think maybe it goes, obviously Phil was old school. I think he obviously, and there's still that kind of that old school, new school players. And I think he really, maybe sensed a little bit of that. And so I think he, got rid of a couple of young guys for, more of a veteran guy, I guess. And, that was maybe his thinking. I don't know. But for us, for Mike and I, we obviously went to Washington, had a great career. We both had great careers there. Spent a long time there, played on the same line. I mean, it was nice that we got treated together because Mike Ridley and I, we really had good chemistry. I mean, some guys you play with, I'm sure Tom can tell you, there's certain partners that Tom has probably played with where you just know each other. You just feel comfortable with each other. You just make each other better. Mike Ridley and I made each other better. And so we just were kind of the same cloth. And Mike was a much more talented player than I was. I mean, the guy actually had some real skills. And
you're underestimating. You're being humble there, brother.
I had some skills too, but I would say, Mike just, the way he put up a lot of points and he did it on a consistent basis and was very quiet about it. But, he was quite a player and I enjoyed playing with him.
That's another mistake I made. He was a different guy in that he kind of had that pouty face going all the time. He wasn't a pouty guy. He worked hard.
No.
But I just couldn't. Again, he did that to your point from earlier on. He just didn't fit in with that old school mentality. We're having fun, cutting each other in the locker room.
So Mike was very hard on himself. So yeah. Mike was he was very hard on himself. And so, if he made a mistake, he could get down on himself or, he was sensitive that way. And so for me, part of my, because I knew how good he was. I knew what a spectacular player he was. And so when I saw him getting down on himself, I would snap him up. I mean, I I knew how to get him out of that and get him focused on the next shift and say, Mike, hey, that forget about that shift. Let's go on and have a next great shift. And so he would do that. And so, and so that's why, again, we were good for each other because, he we just had a good chemistry and we were able to take each other to another level.
We played against you guys. Kelly got on the ice, Mike got on the ice one time, and I'm yelling at him from our bench. I mean, pouty little baby and all like that stuff. I said it was stupid by me. It was absolutely stupid. The guys looked at me like, "What are you doing?" Like it's just. I guess I held. You know what it was too for me, and you're this way too. The team was everything to me, right? So that old school have beers together mentality, cut each other up and block the mentality was my thing, right? So now when he comes in pouting, then I'm offended that he's acting like that, which is stupid.
Yeah, he was just. He was just hard on himself, and that's again, and I knew that because obviously I spent a lot of time with him. We were roommates and things of that nature. So I got to know the kid, and I knew, what was going on and how to get him out of it. And so that was, the fact that we got traded together was a good thing because allowed both of us to, to go to another level. But I do think that, you're right. I think that. Yeah, a lot of things are said on the ice that are just like,
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean, heck, if I got worried about all the nasty things that were said on the ice, I mean, you just couldn't last in the NHL, especially at that time.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it's still a lot of chatter going on from the benches. I mean, Brian Murray was probably the coach of the Washington Capitals. Probably he used to chirp on guys like,
oh. Coaches usually didn't do that either, right? And
he did. He did, and so it was
and unfortunately we've lost him too. So I don't mean to be critical, but he had the list. Yeah, so he would be he'd come to the door of the bench and he'd stand there and start yapping at you in the bench, and we'd all start imitating him, we'd start spitting all over the place.
It's crazy times, and it was a different mentality at that time. It was a tough league. I mean, you had to be tough to. I mean, I remember my first another game in my first season in Philadelphia. I remember I was going up and down the ice. The Sutter brothers, both the Sutter brothers, they had two of them there. Yeah. And I can't even tell you which one it was, but he basically, as we're going in front of our bench, I think he, whacked me, and so I was like, whatever, big deal. And so we go to have face-off, and the face-off's in the neutral zone, and my whole line is changing. Okay, Ted Sater's changing, but he says, Kelly, no, you're going back out there, and line tells me to line up against Sutter. So what he wanted me to do, and so sure enough, drop the gloves and go at it. I mean, so that it was just a different mentality, and you couldn't be intimidated. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be out of the league. And so I don't know if that's the case now. I think you can get by. I think the referees do a better job of.
Yeah, we use fighting and intimidation as a tactic. Right now, it's more. Guys get mad once in a while, they fight.
Yeah.
So how many years did you spend in Washington?
I was there for 13 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible.
On some really good teams, too.
Yeah. We had good teams and made the playoffs just about every year. I think there was only 1 or 2 years that we didn't make it. So we had good teams. Went to the Stanley Cup Finals in '98 against the Red Wings. Of course, the Red Wings were just a scary team. I mean, they had so much talent on that team. It was crazy. And they blew us out 4 straight. Actually, game 2, we should have won. We were up 3-1. Essen Tikkanen came down. Deeks the goalie, puts it through behind the goalie, Osgood, and out the other side. So he missed the wide open net. They literally come back down and score on that same play. And that kind of changed that game because that was in the third period. And so it made it 3-2. And obviously, it changed the dynamics, and they just got revved up. And if it would have been 4-1, I think we'd had a better chance, at least even in the series, because we had lost the first game and coming back to Washington. But
are you still close with Mike Ridley? You guys still talk?
I haven't talked to him in a little while. We used to talk, once or twice a year, and but I haven't seen him in a while. I've been hoping to get him back to an alumni because a bunch of guys come back to Washington for alumni weekends, and we'd like to get him back there because I think you spent probably 12 years there.
He's a great player.
So
how's the Caps alumni? Is it good? The Rangers have a great.
It's good. Yeah, no, and I'm actually going to play in a Rangers alumni game. I'm going to play in a Rangers alumni game and coming up here in
April 27th.
April.
Right?
Yeah, and so
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Well, that's the Michigan game.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Well, that's a -6 guaranteed.
no,
I'll be sitting on the bench the whole time. Like I'm still in good shape now, but I never get on the ice. So when I play one of these
I
games,
don't either.
If I play one of these games, it's a pretty fast pace. I'm sitting on the bench. Yeah.
I have not. I mean, obviously, when I was coaching, I was on the ice all the time, and my favorite part of coaching is actually playing 2-pass after practice with the guys that haven't been playing as much or out of the lineup. I love playing 2-pass, and so I was actually for a while there. I was in good terms of keeping some skills, and then I've always kind of worked out off the ice. But now since I got out of coaching, I have maybe been on the ice once a year, for I don't know how many years. So it won't be pretty.
It'll be fun.
Unfortunately, you can't do what you think you can do anymore. Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't work out so well.
I guess Dino Cicerelli was complaining because there's going to be 4 lines. He wanted 3 lines only.
I think 4 lines is just perfect.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I wish you had like 12 defensemen. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 1990, because you had a front row seat. This is especially important for Ranger fans when John Druce went crazy on the Rangers in the playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Druce on the loose. He just got unbelievably hot. I don't know what to tell you because he was really kind of an unknown. I think he was kind of bouncing back and forth, between the minors and the big team, and then he just came up at the playoff time, and he was just lights out. I can't even explain it. He seemed to be in the right place at the right time, and I couldn't tell you what he was doing or how he was doing it, but man, you looked at after every game he was on the score sheet, and it was just like crazy. So
Chris Kostos was like that. Dominic Smith-Pelly was like that. Remember?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You had 13 seasons. You became at least assistant captain there at the Capitals as well, right?
I was assistant captain there, for most of those years, and it was great. It was good. Obviously a totally different atmosphere than the Rangers. It was more of a family type atmosphere, I guess, is what I would say. Whereas the Rangers was, you had got some guys living in the city, you had some guys living up in Chattanooga. So, it was but for the most part, I thought it was more family oriented. And I think it's, that David Poyle, who's just a tremendous general manager, did a good job of creating that atmosphere and just made it comfortable for the guys and the players and their wives and their families.
Yeah. One of the nicest guys in the game ever, right, David Poyle? The gentleman.
I tell you what, I got a ton of respect for him. He's just an amazing man. And, I still try to keep in touch with him to this day because I just a ton of respect for everything that he did. And he just really created a great atmosphere for us to play in there.
Yeah, good. Because you see sometimes these guys, like when I was an agent, I had to negotiate contracts with all these guys. Some guys would kind of play games, but with David Poyle, it was straight up. There's no game plan. I think I had the advantage of being a former player, but still, I think he treated everybody the same.
He was straight up, but he was tough. He was very tough. I mean, I tell you what, I tried one time to negotiate my own contract with him, and he whooped my ass. I mean,
oh, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, he just he was tough. He was but that's his job. And
You should have hired Laidlaw to help you with that.
I probably should have. And actually, so the next year, I actually hired Tom Rich because I knew I was my element, and he did a good job for me. And I ended up, we ended up working out something with San Jose, but then Washington ended up matching. So,
you're free agent. So you had 13 seasons. What made you retire?
They just kind of start looking at you a little differently. I think, I had a great run there. I was 36, maybe turned 37. I think, the legs, you start to lose just a step. And for me, that step meant a lot. And, I think I could still think the game, but you still, as a winger, especially, I mean, I think you can maybe get away with a little bit as a defenseman but if you're on the forecheck and trying to do all that kind of stuff, you gotta, and that was my whole game was, going 1,000 miles an hour. So, that just was tough to do. And so as much as I would have loved to keep playing, I mean, it's never easy for anybody in the NHL to, call it quits, but it was time.
Did you make that decision at the end of the season?
I did. And, we talked to a couple teams. Pittsburgh wanted me to come in for a tryout and do some stuff like that. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to jump out of it. And so actually I went to, I wanted to get into coaching. And so Guy Charron was coaching the Grand Rapids Griffins, who was Ottawa's affiliate at the time. And my brother Kevin was playing with Guy. And so I went down and met with Guy, and I said, hey, I'd like to get into coaching. You mind if I come on as just a volunteer assistant coach? And so he did. He brought me on, and he had me working, the great thing about that opportunity is that you're in the coach's room with the coaches, and you're talking strategy, and you're doing all that. You're learning, practice plans and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a great experience for me. And then the only problem is that, so I still wanted to play. I mean, that first year out is really tough for a player, and so, I had the itch to play, but, I was kind of done. But what happened is that about the 60 game mark, we had a bunch of call-ups to Ottawa because Ottawa had some injuries. Then we had some injuries in Grand Rapids, and they started looking around the coach's room there and said, Kelly, how about you want to play? And I was like, oh boy. And so I ended up telling them, yeah, I'll play. So I played I figured I'd play like 5 games, maybe 10 at the most, guys would get healthy. I ended up playing like 20 games plus playoffs. And I remember the first series that I played in. We played a 3-3 against Kalamazoo Wings. And I remember sitting in the locker room getting dressed for the third game thinking, what the hell am I doing? I mean, this is not what I envisioned whatsoever. But I hung in there. We had a good team. We ended up going all the way to the finals that year. We lost to Chicago Steel in the finals. So it was, were you kind of coaching at the same time while you're playing? No. So once sort of, kind of, you're leader, try to be a leader, whatever. Right. But, and my body was sore. My back was bugging me. I remember in the final series against the Steel, I mean, my back was just killing me. I could not, so it was just time. It was the wheels were falling off, and it was time to move on to something different. So I finished. So after that year, I went and actually started coaching a junior team in Lansing, was in the North American Hockey League. And then halfway through the season, Guy Charron actually called me up because he had gone out to Anaheim, was an assistant, got the head coaching job halfway through the year, called me to come out and be his assistant. So I did that. And then I ended up going out to Long Island with the Islanders and was assistant coach with Peter Laviolette for 2 years. And obviously Peter's, coaching the Rangers and doing a great job. And I mean, he's just, Peter Laviolette is a class act and just a terrific coach. He really.
So that's interesting. What makes him a good coach?
I think he's today's coach. I think he's got, he's good at having relationship, getting to know the players. He's tough, but not screaming tough. He's just, he's demanding, but not, but in the right way. And, he's just very smart, technically in terms of, teaching the game and coming up with systems and doing all that. I mean, so he's just got all the tools, and I just, that's where, so we were in Long Island and that I just remember watching the kind of the battle between Peter and the general manager there, because with the general manager there, he would want to come into the locker room and, get the guys a new butt.
Was it Milbury?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so, and Peter would always stand his ground, like, no, that's my locker room. That's these are my guys.
I like that. Wow.
And so that's the kind of guy Peter is. But Peter is, he's just a class act. He's just a class act. And
the only bad thing, though, unlike Rod Brindamore, he can't take his shirt off, though.
Oh, here we go.
No, unfortunately, but
once a bully, always a bully.
It's a battle for all of us. Most of us actually at this age, unfortunately.
Well, back when I played, I thought beer was a food group back then, so I've solved that problem now. So we're better off.
Yeah.
And Kelly, I wanted to ask you. We had John Ogrodnik on, and he was raving about your brother Kevin. So I want to know, who was the best of the Miller clan?
So we're all different. I played over 1,000 games. Kevin probably played 700 some games. Kip played 400 some games. I would say talent-wise, Kip was by far the most talented of the three. He won the Hobie Baker. I mean, that kid was absolutely, his skills are off the charts. Okay, Kevin is probably got also got really good skills. I would say Kevin's skills are a little bit better than mine. What I had was a work ethic. I had good skill. I had a really good work ethic, and I was fast and powerful. I just am built like a, fire hydrant. I mean, so, I had good lower body strength, and I could forecheck like crazy. I could penalty kill. Penalty killing was probably one of the things that I really excelled at. And, so those were the things that kept me in the league. And, I could play on the first line, and a lot of times Mike Ridley and I played on the first line. As a matter of fact, it was me, Mike Ridley, and Pierre LaRouche, which was a really good line.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, and when we went,
that was the year they sent Pierre to Hershey at the start of the year, right?
Yes, yeah. He did, and so probably the biggest mistake I probably ever made in my life. One of them, I've made lots, but Pierre. They sent Pierre to the minors, and they came to me and said I was wearing like number 40, and they said, "You want to take number 10?" I was like, "Sure." Oh, that was a bad mistake. So because I remember the first game that I wore number 10 was actually in New Jersey, and I remember this Ranger fan, Pierre LaRouche fan, came up to me and she gave me the business. I mean, unbelievable. And so that if I had to do that over again, I wouldn't do that.
And that's clearly Teddy Sater trying to play game.
That was a dumb mistake by me. I should have said no. I didn't.
But Sater
really think about it.
Yeah, but Sater knew what he was doing. Sater was trying to do that. He wanted to take control of the team from the old guys, And
So you live and learn, and but the cool thing actually was that Pierre came back to the team, and he played on the line with me and Mike Ridley. And I tell you what, there was some chemistry there because Pierre LaRouche can score like nobody's business. I mean, and I couldn't tell you where. I could tell you that Pierre was going to be open, and so Mike Ridley and I, we started the year with the Rangers, and we played with Mark Osborne. Well, Mark Osborne was, great kid, hard worker, big body, good forechecker. But Mark Osborne was kind of like Mike and I. We're hard workers. All three of us were hard workers, so we could spend a lot of time in the other team's zone, but we couldn't put the puck in the net worth of, that's not my thing. Mike could do it to a better extent to me, but Mark, that wasn't his thing. He was a worker. But when they put Pierre LaRouche on there, holy smokes. So all of a sudden, Mike and I would be doing our thing in the corners and around the net. And all of a sudden, there's Pierre wide open. Yeah. Boom, give it to him. It's in the net. Yeah. And so, so you just really appreciate guys like that and the talent that they have and the ability to get open. It makes it for two workers like Mike and I, it was really fun to play with Pierre.
Did he say anything about the number?
No. He was really actually very good about it. You don't think it really, Pierre, not a lot bothered Pierre. I don't think. I mean, it's just,
If he ran out of red wine, he had a problem with that.
But no, he was great. I mean, that was a great run, and everybody bought in, and everybody was pulling the same way, and it was, it's unfortunately, we just ran up
Patrick Waugh.
Patrick Waugh.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, listen, it's interesting to have that conversation going back when you came up, right, with that old school mentality and what you guys had to go through.
I had apologize, Tom. Apologize.
Yeah. There's a lot. Sure, man, at the time, again, another one of these things at the time when we're going through it, we're thinking, yes, no, we're correct. They shouldn't be acting like this. This is how the NHL is. But looking back at it, it's ridiculous. You could do whatever, you should be able to do whatever you want to do, but we're a bunch of old buttheads. So.
It just made us tougher. I mean, I think, I survived it and worked through it. And, I think that obviously the league now is totally different. And, a lot of the stuff that went on then doesn't go on because it just can't, because your body can't, these guys today are such good shape and just take care of their bodies and their minds. I mean, I remember talking to Ryan, my cousin, and he had a mental strength coach, and just all these, had nutritionists. I mean, you think and like his own personal, and so that's just, that's next level. And whereas we weren't thinking a whole lot about that. I mean, our young guys were starting to think about that, and that's where. But the older players, I remember training camp. The guys that come in and they were out of shape, and because they were like, okay, we're here for training camp. We're gonna get in shape, and we're like, man, we've been training like all summer long. So it just was different.
Definitely. Wife, kids, where you at with family?
I've got 3 daughters. 2 live in the New York City area. 1 on Long Island. My youngest is right in Manhattan. She lives in the south side of Manhattan, works for an ad agency. And then I got a daughter out in Montana. I actually had 3 in New York City at one time. And then my middle one, she, during COVID and all that stuff, and she was like, I got to get out of here. So she went direct opposite. She went to, the mountains and outdoors. And I don't, she's very much in a much happier place now. So
wow, very cool. Let's go. Yeah, it's excellent. Well, Kelly, great to see you again. I really mean this very seriously when I say this to you. You were one of those guys. I put Dallas Drake in the same category. I think when you look back at your career, you can say to yourself, man, I got a lot out of my career, right? I mean, pure work ethic, and very proud to play with you for a short period of time, but at least we got the idea. So, and again, thank you very much for being on the show. You're a good man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's I always had a ton of respect for you, Tom, and all the veterans. I mean, just look at, I look at that locker room, Greshner and Beck, and you go through the. I mean, man, oh man, Pavlich was there at that time, and it was just kind of Van Biesbroek was my roommate the first year. I mean, just great guys, and just kind of had some different. In different places in our careers and things of that nature, but we managed to put it all together for that playoff drive, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it was too. Great to see you again, Kelly. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Kelly.
All right, you have a good one.
The apology was enough on your redemption tour. It was kind of a weak sauce apology, but I think Kelly Miller's okay.
You know what? I hate to admit it, but you're probably right. I hate to admit it, but
he was a different generation. You guys were the old Canadian guys who would take the 5 weeks of training camp to get in shape, and he was coming in already ready to go right out of college. Him and Mike Riddle.
His work ethic, and he talked about it too, and he's very proud of it. And he should be. His work ethic was second to none. He just did, and I hope I said this the right way. He probably would have played anyways. He's good enough. He was very humble. But his work ethic is really good.
Yeah, great on the forecheck, always defensively responsible, just a really good solid, kind of like, almost like you, but as a forward. Dependable, he's not going to make mistakes. And the fact that he's going to take on these tough guys, which is crazy. To jump Jay Wells, his first fight in the NHL.
That was interesting in telling that story, how he said, okay, I'm going to fight every 10 games, going to fight.
So what are you thinking when you see him going up with Jay Wells? You're like, what is this kid doing?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, I think okay. He probably doesn't understand how tough Jay Wells is, and but he could. No, I get to say he is one of those guys again. Man, he got a lot out of his career. It's a funny story too. He told about it when the day he got treated with Phil Esposito. Said, "I'll let you guys."
Good news, bad news. And as a young Ranger fan, a teenage Ranger fan, that one was devastating because we're like, man, what is he doing? Bobby Carpenter, yes, he scored 50, but it was Ridley and Miller. Like, that was the two young guys you had on the team.
You could argue that both those guys were as good as Bobby Carpenter at that time too. And what did Bobby missed the season before in a contract holdout or something?
I think he had held out, but he had scored 50. Maybe Phil loved that. He was a Boston kid, But like when he traded those two, like, wow, he screwed the pooch right there, He really did. And look at that, they went on to have incredible careers. And Bobby Carpenter
Phil was really. I look back at how Phil was really trying to change the culture. Like he didn't like that, that Kelly Miller college player that was. He wanted the beer drinking guys still, and he changed the team all around again. And that was the sad. You look back at those seasons with the Rangers, and the one thing, and we've all talked about it too, that wish they just didn't change it around so much. It's always changing general manager. Look at the Islanders across.
Well, that was even worse.
Well, yeah, they lose in 79 to the Rangers.
Oh, you're talking about the good Islanders, yes, not the little bit Islanders. Yeah,
yeah. So they lose in 79 to the Rangers. They make one or two changes, and the Rangers made Barry Beckley, who fantastic player, but you got 5 guys. Yeah,
16 Islanders won all 4 cups. Tom, that's an incredible stat that I don't think will ever be repeated. 16.
And that says a lot about Al Arbor and Bill Torrey. That they really they say, okay, we know the culture that we want to have here. We've got the guys who fine tune things a little bit.
But that's it. I mean, that was 16 guys. It's incredible. But I did want to talk about that trade because that was so devastating because after Miller, they get Carpenter, and then they trade you and Carpenter for half of Marcel Dionne.
So you figure they had Ridley, Miller, Carpenter, and Laidlaw for Marcel Dionne, who's like 20.
Wow, that's just, that one hurts. I mean, that really is.
I don't think I've ever looked at it that way, but that's true. Miller, Ridley, Carpenter, and Laidlaw for Marcel Dionne is like 50 years old.
Yeah, no, Marcel Dionne is one of the greatest players of all time, 700 goals. But 37-year-old Marcel Dionne at the end of his career, and he still put up 30. But still, you're traded for like a leg of him, and Ridley and Miller for like an arm, and I don't know, Carpenter for the rest. So that one really hurt.
Bobby Carpenter, now he's a fantastic person. He helped some neighbor had a son or daughter that was in a wheelchair, or whatever, and he ran some race. So he's done some fantastic things, got a great family and everything, but he wasn't, his reputation was not good. Like, so when he got traded here, the guys didn't like him. And was it that same season he got traded?
I think it was, or maybe the very next. But it seems like you guys, because you mentioned this when we had Brian Lawton on, it seems like you guys just hated American high school kids.
No, it really wasn't the American high school thing. It was more of a...
He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Is that what it is?
Well, you know what it is? We talked about it on the show here at Kelly, that we were that old school... Yep. This is the way we do it mentality. We'll not change it. And again, it served us well because that stubbornness, saying we're not changing it. But
up to a point, it served you.
Well, no, in our mind, it served us perfectly. Right. But looking back at it in retrospect, it's easy to say, smart enough. I mean, kids are drinking milk and you yell at them because they're drinking milk.
And how dare they take care of their bodies? Let's corrupt them.
Oh, terrible. I remember Robbie Fatory came to the team. He got down the floor and started stretching at Playland. We're all looking at him like, what is that all about?
Yeah, well ahead of his time. So now he gets traded, and I think Phil just didn't like Bobby Carpenter because I think he expected him to come here, score 50 goals. He didn't do that, and he shipped him out with you, and that was into that trade.
And then we did the show with Phil. We did the show with Phil one time, the live show we did with Grester and Maloney and that. And we were talking about all the trades, and we said to Phil, like, well, what was your logic in all the trades? Now, remember, he traded me, and he says, well, the guys I didn't like, I traded them as far away as possible. And I said to him, Phil, I thought we were friends. You traded me as far away as possible. There's no way.
The only else is Vancouver. That'd be the only other one you go to.
Oh, God. That's funny.
But Kelly Miller had a great career. He was just a solid player. Every day in those playoffs in '90, we watched him with the Capitals, and we're like, he should boot to the ankles. Him and Ridley both.
Yeah, good team guy too. Really, like they've talked about Mike Ridley, how he helped him, and he knew he was down in the dumps. Yeah, and that's truly who he was. Like he showed up. There's a few players that have, and sometimes they have bad games, or whatever. When he came to play, he pretty much knew every game's going to be the same thing all the time. He's going to play the same way.
Yeah, and it seems like he was the one telling Mike Ridley, like when there was knucklehead defenseman at the end of the bench yelling at Mike Ridley, to smile or not be so down. He was like, "Hey, you got this. So good on him."
I look back at that stuff like, what was I thinking? And poor Mike Ridley. He was a good kid. Mike Ridley was such a good kid too, and I was that.
Yeah, you weren't thinking. You were just going. Luckily, the redemption tour continues on episode 84. And if you like what you heard today, please share, give us a review, tell your friends, do anything, shout it from the mountaintops. And if you need Tom to come speak at your event, or if you want him to help you birth a cow, right? We said that last show. What else can you do? You can dance,
sing, dance, cook. That makes mean sourdough bread. I might get some sourdough bread too. I made my first loaf today.
There you go.
What a process. We always have a whole show on the whole process of making sourdough bread. You got to make sourdough starter and everything.
No, you probably shouldn't. You probably, your 1 minute Facebook show, that's perfect time for that. Time lapse it. But if you want Tom on at your event, email fullchangepodcast@gmail.com. And if you like what you're hearing, tell everybody about it.
I love you, Mike Ridley.
There you go.
All right, Grasshoppers, thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.
They're ubiquitous, Tom.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Ubiquitous?
Ubiquitous.
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 And that means what?
It's everywhere.
Oh, okay.